Joining us in our D11sports.com studios today is a new Liberty head basketball coach, Nigel Long, and also color analyst for D11sports.com's basketball game, Tommy Mosser. Guys, thanks a lot for taking some time here of your busy schedule. We always say busy schedule, but Nigel, now for you, it is a busy schedule because you're a new head coach. First of all, congratulations. And what does this mean to you to be a head coach?
Thank you so much. Really, for me, it's the pinnacle in terms of coaching. Getting to this opportunity to give back and continue to give to the community. That's important to me. Having that opportunity to help kids out and just help continue growing them as young men in their lives. So really, for me, this is an awesome opportunity. I'm so thankful for everyone that's helped me get to this point, in my life. And, I'm just looking forward to continuing, like I said, to just make an impact on those young lives in our program. So
you do realize that you're the new head coach at Liberty, but you went to Freedom. Take us through that a little bit. And you always talk about that rivalry, one of the best rivalries in local sports in the Lehigh Valley. And now you're on the other side of things. When you took the job and all of a sudden you're seeing different colors and stuff like that, what does this mean to you? I mean, you are the head coach, but you're going to be going against your rival here.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's going to be some nostalgia, definitely some emotion, being on the other side of the rivalry. I've been there for 4 years, in the black and gold. And now, being on Liberty side of things, it's definitely going to be a different feel. But again, I'm a competitor, and at the end of the day, we're trying to win. So, I've got faith in our program, and every single kid in our program that we're going to be successful. So I'm excited.
Tommy, you coached him at Muhlenberg and also at Freedom with Joe Stellato and Scott McClary. Obviously, when you heard and you knew that he was getting this job, you were one of the most elated guys. You're happy for him.
Well, the first thing is, I was not to take anything away from Nigel. I was surprised because, as we talked about, he's just fresh out of college. He's 2 years out of college. Like, guys don't get high school jobs at that age. So from the people that I talked to, he did a fantastic job in his interviewed really well. As you can hear the way he talks here, when your first couple questions you shot at him, he had very well, he answered them in a great way. And so I can imagine that's how his interview went over at Liberty. And, obviously I had talked to Coach Stellato and some of the other guys that we coached with. And, anybody who knows Nigel knows he's a very positive young man. He brings a lot of good things to the table. And as he said, he's going to be great for the people over there at Liberty High School.
All right, Tommy, with that said, you coached him at Freedom, you coached him at Muhlenberg. How did he mature there, going from Freedom to Muhlenberg to where he is now? Take us through the transition.
Well, let me tell you that the first impression that I had of Nigel is, this is funny, I have to tell you. So as a ninth grader, we bring him up to play on the JV team. We don't know what he has, but he can play a little bit. So my buddy, Coach Murphy, who was our JV coach, and Stellato and I, after every practice, we'd sit on the bleachers in the end zone and talk about practice, talk about what went well, what didn't go well. Every single day after practice, a couple kids would stay and shoot around, and then they'd get out of there because kids want to leave. Here would be this little 5'5" ninth grader. He'd take 5 minutes. He'd do some ball handling, some dribbling, work on his game for 5 to 10 minutes. And then every single day, he would make his way over to where the three of us were sitting and just ask us some questions. And so for the first week, we're like, oh, here comes this kid again. Like, what does he want? Like, we thought maybe he's just trying to kiss up to the coaches, get in good with us. But then we realized, he's asking us things that it's amazing that a ninth grader is thinking of. He's asking about a play that we ran, or maybe a defensive formula. And then as the season goes on and we're talking about games, he's talking about this team or this player. So it was evident that he really was a thinker, and he would be that way out on the court. And he was that way as a 2-year starter and a 3-year varsity guy for us on some very good teams. And then obviously, we can get into the Muhlenberg stuff later, but that's my very first impression of Coach Long.
Nigel, how do you take that from Tommy? His thoughts, and did you know that? Did you say something you aspired to be as you were growing up?
Well, for me, being that I'm 5'5", I have to work hard, because height is not I'm not like Coach Mosser being 6 foot, 6'6" plus. So for me, I had to work hard, and I had to put in the extra hours after practices and whatnot, and then also think intellectually. Because I'm smaller, I need to think outside the box. So it's important for me, especially as a point guard, to know what's going on. What does the team need from me? What does my coach need from me? So being an extension of the coach on the floor was big for me. And that led to success, toward the later years of my high school career. But like Coach Mosser said, they were more than willing to help me. I'm forever grateful and thankful, for the coaching staff at Freedom, because, without them, believing in me and giving me that information when I would go to them, I would not be here today. So.
St. Luke's Pediatrics delivers the care you expect for your child, now and for their future. Choose a St. Luke's pediatrician today.
When you look back at your career at Freedom with head coach Joe Stellato, what did you take most from him? What did you learn most from him, knowing that, hey, you're going to face him twice this year?
Yeah, he's a player's coach, man. I mean, when you're talking about energy, enthusiasm, the ability to just get guys to play hard and play inspired, that's something that I learned from him. Giving back to the community, getting the community involved, it's big. I mean, I remember some of those years we'd have the riot squad, and I mean, the gym was packed. Parents were there. Little kids were there. I mean, the floor was shaking sometimes, with those Freedom Liberty games. And it was just, those are the memories that you build for kids. Kids remember that. Kids remember those games where it was packed. So I'll always remember that from him. The ability to reach back into the community and be a servant. So I've learned a lot from Coach Stellato for sure.
All right, we talk about Coach Stellato. What about Coach McClary at Muhlenberg? I mean, again, Tommy was there the whole way for you, really, both times. I know you were at Catholic University as well, but, Tommy doesn't want to travel far, so he wasn't going down to Catholic, but Muhlenberg's okay for him. But, what learned from Coach McClary, and again, another coach that you'll see twice in 1 year.
Yep. Coach McClary, a dear friend to me. Really, Coach McClary, the 2 years that I was with him at Muhlenberg, he taught me how to not only continue to give back, but just it went from player and being a player for him to now transitioning as a coach. And honestly, when I got to coach with him, the biggest thing he taught me was every single step of the way, I have to treat every drill, every practice, every game like I'm a coach, like I'm the head coach. And having that mindset was important because it's going to make this transition very smooth for me. Really for me as a player and playing under him, he's another player's coach, somebody that is really good at creating relationships with the kids. And then, just in the community, his community involvement, whether it was with Special Olympics, whether it was the college itself, or even his McHoops camps, just really doing a great job of giving back to the community. So he's another one of my mentors that I have and somebody that I do appreciate as well.
Nothing better than the McHoops camp. I had my kids in there as well, and those are great times. He did tremendous with that. That's an amazing thing. Tommy, if you could speak on that as well. If you want to throw out a couple questions to Nigel, I'm sure even though you guys talk or whatever, this is their time to shine as an analyst and ask some of your questions.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's ever my time to shine, but, so Nigel, obviously, you picked up a lot and you can hear it's evident in your answers that you think your way through a lot and you're intelligent beyond your years. So, I mean, what is it that you've taken from Coach McClary that you plan to implement yourself as a head coach? And you've been successful with your dad running one of the best AAU programs in the area for many years. You've been coaching those as a head coach yourself. So what are you going to take yourself and what are you going to take from Coach McClary to kind of blend your own style? Like, what do you look forward to doing?
Great question. So in terms of, what have I learned from Coach McClary in terms of my coaching style and philosophy, it's definitely is preparation. The one thing I've always learned from Coach McClary is to be prepared, not only on game day, but practices. Having more of a college style practice, having guys really working from drill to drill, having drills, focused more so on skill development and focused on really just improving their games. And then everything, just community involvement. So, and everybody, being on the same line of communication in terms of, my conversations with the athletic director, the players, the coaching staff, all of us just being together in terms of our communication level as well. So that's something that I've learned with Coach McClary is just having that same line of communication, having everybody involved. which is just important. And then, like you said, with my father, running the LNO Running Rebels AU program for the last 11 years, really it's just learning how to be a mentor to the kids. At the end of the day is, your actions speak a lot louder than your words. And so just, it's easy for me to say, giving back to the community, but doing it. And I've learned that with my father over the last 11 years, like, going to tournaments and stuff like that. These kids really learned a lot of life lessons because of the travels that we've had and the ups and downs of games and whatnot. But as far as coaching style and what I'm looking for in our team is I want an aggressive team. I think anyone that knows me knows I'm an energetic person, but I would like to be an aggressive style team. I see a group of players. You're talking about Antonio Montgomery, Joseph Barnes, Rondell McNeil, Elijah Cannon coming back off injury, Kwesi Wellington. These are athletic kids. These are kids that in the previous regime with Coach Landis, they did a little bit of pressure. It's something that I'm looking at as well. Just being an aggressive team, being a team that gets out in transition and plays together, plays unselfish, and competes every possession. So.
Not feeling well? Need to see a doctor now? St. Luke's Video visits 24/7. Download the St. Luke's mobile app from the App Store or Google Play Store.
Obviously, everybody's dealing with this, Nigel, but how has the pandemic affected have you been able to meet with the guys? Like, do you have them doing some workouts on their own? Like, what's the plan moving forward here?
Yeah,
because obviously, as we know up in the Valley, the summer season is so important to everybody up there, whether it's a tournament or the summer league or just going to do some individual scrimmages with teams. And it seems as though we're all losing that. And that's going to hurt maybe a new coach who doesn't have that time to bond with his players.
Yeah, and that's very true. This time right now is unfortunate, but the neat part is we're all in it together. So not only am I going through it, but every other coach in the EPC is going through it and in the country. So for me, it's building those relationships. We have met as a group. Our coaching staff has met multiple times a week. Really, we're just creating those relationships. And yes, we are doing team workouts where they have a ball handling workout that every single day. And then we're implementing lifting twice a week as well. So just the kids just to be active during these times. It's tough, I get it, but in my view, it's building those relationships. That's what's most important right now. And I just want to make sure everybody's doing well and everybody's safe and healthy. So.
What type of coach are you? You said you want to go fast, but what can they expect from you as a coach?
Yeah, I'm energetic, but also myself as a coach, I really like to use my resources to my advantage. And, I'm so thankful to have the coaching staff that we're going to have, the individuals with just various levels of experience, different ages, different, backgrounds. And, I'm just really thankful to have those guys to lean on.
Who are those guys? Are you ready to say them yet or not yet?
Yeah. I can name a few. So, so Glenn Nowak.
That's trouble already. Go ahead.
Odessa Carnes, Luis Ortiz, also Keith Mays, and then Bill Van Akron. So, and then we're also adding several more individuals on staff as well. And then we'll have some volunteers like Dave Roberts. He'll be volunteering as well, and a few others. So. I'm really excited about the group that we have leading the program, and that will also allow for me to lean on them, because we're all lifelong learners at the end of the day. So, really, but for my coaching style, it's really I want the kids to get out and transition and play. At the end of the day, the game is changing to a European style where the floor is spaced and everyone's playing either 4-out, 1-in, 5-out. And I want for the kids to have an opportunity to play within space and get out and transition. So.
Hey, Tom, what you hear him now and you hear him, you talk to him on the phone, but you're hearing him answer questions and he's going for about 25 minutes or so. What do you see as him as a coach when he goes against these other coaches in the EPC? What does he bring to the East Penn Conference that other coaches are going to fear? I use the word fear. I want to use that word fear. It's Nigel. Here he comes. What are they going to be concerned about when he's coaching?
Well, the first thing that you notice is that, I mean, you're firing questions away. We're peppering him with questions. He's a youngster, and he does not seem rattled at all. He's got a response for everything. So what that tells me is he's going to be able to adapt on the fly. A big thing in coaching, and you don't really talk about it at the high school level as much. It's more in a college game, but is adjustments. When something happens that a coach or a team takes away what you want to do, what are you going to do to counter that? And I think that's probably something that Nigel learned from Coach McClary. That was something that I learned from Coach McClary. Again, it's not something you really talk about in high school. You make adjustments, but into college, it's such an important thing. And I'm sure that was something that was big with Nigel and Coach McClary at Becca. So, when something goes wrong or something doesn't go as planned like you want it to, Nigel's going to go to his staff, or he's going to draw on his past experiences and be able to make a switch on the fly. That's going to turn the momentum back to maybe where it wasn't, in his favor before. So, just little things like that that are going to be so helpful to him moving forward.
You're hurting. Is it your back or your knee? Get the rehabilitation you need. We're in your neighborhood. Call Physical Therapy at St. Luke's.
Nigel, talk a little bit about Coach Landis, if you talked to him about his team a little bit, which I'm sure you did, and also your interview with Fred Harris and the type of athletic director that you're going to be working under, and what you took from him when you had your interview as well.
Definitely. So yes, I have spoken with Coach Landis several times, and honestly, he's been awesome. Just him offering, a helping hand. You don't get that out all the time, especially with a new guy coming in. And he's really been helpful for me in terms of getting an understanding of what they've done in the past. Both on and off the court, and then just spitballing ideas to him. And he's done a magnificent job 10 plus years over at Liberty, and there's a high standard there. And at the end of the day, I understand that there's an expectation there, and Liberty sports, especially the boys basketball program, has been successful for over the last 20 plus years. So I definitely understand that, and he played a major part in that. So I'm very thankful for him for helping me to this day. And then with my interview with Fred Harris, him and I go way back. Freedom days. He was the athletic director there, so he knew me a little bit there. But really, he wanted to see how would I lead this group, and how would I lead the program. What qualities do I have, in order to lead the program. And I'm excited to work under him. He's very hands off. He's very, but he's also a shoulder that I can lean on. If I have a question, if I have any concerns, he has experience, in the high school business in terms of, running multiple athletic programs. So I'm excited. He's been in my shoes, being a young guy, taking over a program, and so I'm really excited to work with him there. So,
Tommy, any last questions for you, or last question for you for Nigel?
Well, I don't have a question for Nigel. I will just end with this thought that, anybody who may have been surprised to read or hear that a 24-year-old was given the head job at one of the oldest, biggest, and most accomplished programs in the state of Pennsylvania, they should have those fears squashed by listening to this interview right here. Because, I know the young man for almost 10 years, like we said, and, I consider him a very good friend, and I'm glad to be able to say that I've coached him. But listen to him here, it seems he's grown and learned so much in the last 2 years. Maybe it's because he got away from me finally, but, he's certainly very impressive right now, and I can't wait to see what he does with that Liberty program.
Tom, that said, obviously we'll try to get him on D11sports.com, and we'll do a couple games, with Liberty. The problem is you're being all nice to him now. When we broadcast the game, we start live streaming, you may take him apart. You may start shooting some shots at the guy.
Well, I'm a straight shooter. When he makes a bad call, I'm going to tell him, and I'll get a text from him later, but he'll understand why. And I think we need to get a Freedom Liberty game on the schedule next year, Al. Oh my goodness. Remember, Nigel mentions those. We played some of those games in front of 3,000 fans, and he said the gym was rocking, and you probably did some of those. And
yep.
It would be great to have some of those on the docket next year.
No question about it. I know, Tommy, we have you on, we have Nigel on, we could have Scott on, we could have Joe on. Those guys are integral, Nigel, to put you where you are. but, as they helped you in your path to success, now it's your path to start, and you're starting fresh, and, you're starting anew in the East Penn Conference, one of the best leagues, not only in the area, but obviously in the state of Pennsylvania. So we wish you the very best of luck. And, we really appreciate you taking time with us today here on D11sports.com.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I'm very appreciative to spend some time with you and just talk hoops. So thank you so much.
We love talking hoops. Nigel Long, the new head coach at Liberty High School. Tommy Mosser, the D11sports.com color analyst for our basketball games. Guys, thanks a lot for taking the time, and best of luck. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Al. Talk to you soon. Nige, hang in there. Good job.
Thank you.